Subnautica took a leap of faith in making one of the game's most hated themes, water worlds, and yet they nailed it to a T with an amazing survival game set in that very hated setting. But the question here is why did they choose a water world?
Personally, I think because when this came out, it was very different as far as survival games goes. I don't know if there was any or if there was very many games covering like an alien water planet that you're stuck on that you got to survive in just nothing but water. As far as where I've played now, there's two islands that you can go to and that's it. And they're small.
So this game came out in early access December 2014. So that was that's 10 years ago. Like they definitely were pushing the thing back then pretty hard.
Yeah, and like I said, I think that's why they did it because it's not your typical survival game. You're not fighting zombies. You're not, you're not chopping down trees to make wood knives and wood axes and whatever else. Like you have some tech in this water, but you have to explore and use this scanner to scan pieces of your ship so that you can build a base that way, so that you can synthesize all these materials and synthesize all these different pieces you need to put a base together, to build vehicles, to build a ship to leave the planet.
And that's one of the things I guess they did well is that they built the game from the ground up to be about being in the water. So whether you like or hate water worlds, Subnautica actually, like I just said before, built their entire game to work and play in the water. Like even swimming around in the water in most games try to go through, the small holes into the large caverns or anything else. Feels really janky. It's easy to get caught up on the environment. But in Subnautica, it was really smooth. It's really difficult to get caught on something unless you really swim in between two large items and get stuck yourself.
It's really easy to get lost, though. It's really easy to get lost in the caves, okay?
Don't they even have a tool to help you get out?
I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't made that tool yet, or some that tool's not in my game. I don't have that DLC.
It's not a DLC, it's part of the base game. But the fact they even thought of that they made the caverns and stuff so intricate and kind of confusing, because that's one of the things that happens a lot of Waterworld games or levels, is you get easily turned around. And the fact that they put a way to help you map and find a way out of these caverns is actually really cool.
Don't know why I don't ever use it. I just don't ever use it. I go in these caves with so much confidence that I'm going to be able to get out. And then I go too far and my oxygen gets too low. And I'm like, "Oh, I just need to swim straight up." And I swim straight up and there's a wall there. And I have to respawn.
See, that's an interesting thing right there. Is that not only is there oxygen, but there's food and water levels as well as health. And if you start to starve or dehydrate, because folks, it is a water world, it is sea salt water, you can't just drink it. And plus, I don't know if you want to drink the water there. There's something that might hurt you in the a long run. But the cool thing is they already have the main core survival mechanics in there alongside with creatures that can actually hurt you. But the combat isn't actually what you would think, right?
It's almost frowned upon in a way. Like you're meant to defend yourself and you have tools that you can use as quote unquote weapons. But there's a specific scene in the game where the computer tells you that whoever sent out these spaceships doesn't allow the blueprints for weapons on their ships anymore because of something that's happened in the past. So, yes, you have a knife, but it's used more for survival. Yes, you have like the repulsor cannon where you can like launch stuff away from you, but that's not even really meant for attacking. And then you have a couple of other tools that can be used to defend yourself, but it's not meant there's no focus on going out and fighting or killing something.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the beautiful parts of the game is that while you do have things that can help defend you, the defensive mechanisms, the defensive combat that's in the game still feels really good. It doesn't feel janky or problematic like we've seen in other kind of water games. Like when I'm swimming around trying to swing my knife, yeah, it's a little bit difficult because I'm not working, in, up, down, left, right, front, forward kind of situation. But once you get the hang of it, it becomes kind of natural.
No, it doesn't. It does become natural. Look, I'm still hunting peepers because I have the heated knife now. So if I can get to one of these fish and hit it with the knife, it instantly cooks it. I don't have to keep food in my inventory anymore. As long as there's some type of food I can cook and eat near me, I don't have to carry food with me because I can use that knife. I can pull that knife out and go use it, and it'll instantly cook the fish, and I can eat it right there. Now I still have to keep water
So
with me because there's no way to purify water on the fly, but I've hacked the food situation.
The other interesting thing about this entire game is that there is a progression to it, but the progression is tied into a tool that you get very early on called the scanner. And you have to scan everything. Anything and everything you see, you should scan, even hostile fishies. Like if
Good
they
luck.
look like they're gonna mess you up if you get too close, scanning it actually sometimes can be very helpful because sometimes it tells you how to pacify them so you can get past them.
Yeah, and what's cool about Subnautica 2 with the scanner is when you get close to an item that can be scanned, you get a little icon that'll flash to let you know, hey, you can scan this, or hey, you haven't scanned this yet. And sometimes the information is helpful, like you said, and sometimes it's like, hey, this is a fish, it might attack you.
Yeah, everything has a data entry.
Exactly. And the scanner is the only way for you to get the blueprint, not the only way, but the main way for you to get the blueprints to be able to build your base, to be able to upgrade your different vehicles so you can dive deeper, to be able to upgrade your oxygen tanks so you can last longer in the water. Because when you start, I think you have like maybe 60 seconds of oxygen or something like that, maybe even less. You don't have very much. So your first like hour or two in the water is just surface, back down, surface, back down, surface, back down.
Speaking of the entire theme of this game and the surfaces you're just talking about, the game actually has a lot of depth to it. And I'm not talking about lore RPG wise, folks. I'm talking about there are really dark, deep places. It's realistic. The deeper you go down, the less and less light you have. And it becomes kind of scary because they have a lot of realism in there that when you start to get like your sea moth, which is a pretty cool little ship that you get early on, it can get crushed pretty quickly based upon how far you go down in depth. I think you've lost what, a couple of them in your couple live streams?
I have lost at least one every live stream I've done so far. And I think I just finished episode 5 last time, but like right before we recorded this. So that's at least 5 sea moths, if not more.
Maybe it's six. He likes to fudge numbers.
No, you're right. It's 4 because I did get the last one back, so it's not completely lost. It's my favorite. I painted it, so I'm gonna try to keep it around longer.
The sea moth itself, a vehicle in a Waterworld game, actually works out pretty well because the character, you have to make fins and then you have to make different suits, and it does help your character movement, along with the sea glide being a handheld, kind of like a Navy SEAL, like you've seen in the movies, kind of thing, where it helps propel you forward, right? But more of a civilian model. The sea moth itself is like its own encapsulated submarine, right?
Yeah, it's like a mini one person sub. It's something you might, I mean, if you want to kind of like equate it to today's technology, imagine the submarines they send down to manned or unmanned, but the submarines they send down to investigate, shipwrecks and stuff, the ones that have the little extendable claws. Now this doesn't have extendable claws and stuff, but it's something small like that, something that's very maneuverable. You can kind of get it in and out of tight spaces. It's a lot faster than traveling even with the sea glide, especially traveling swimming, and it fills up your oxygen when you swim into it. So you can go a lot deeper and a lot farther with the sea moth because once you enter it, your oxygen level will go back up. So you can get in it, replenish your oxygen, and then you can go swim longer.
We've talked about the combat. We've talked about the depth. We know about the lore in the game. We know a little bit about its progression. And we finally just touched on some of the vehicles, which there are more vehicles in there, which are pretty cool. But one of the things that we haven't talked about, and this is a unique approach, especially for a game back when it came out in 2014, which its base building approach. I like the way they handled this because your base, while it is a good area of operations, it's almost like more of a retrofit base where you're going only there to progress and make items than it is a long term base.
Well, I feel a little bit different about it because it takes a lot of resource hunting to make the bases. It is beneficial to you to build multiple bases, but there's so much resource gathering in order to build your first, especially your first base when you're still because you're hunting blueprints to build the base and you're hunting materials. It takes a while to get your first base built up, but it is probably beneficial to you to build secondary bases here and there because you can use different power sources. That's another thing that I struggle with base building is powering the base because unlike some other games, you can't just throw a base up and run all this technology inside the base and have it oxygenized and just live in it for free basically. You got to build solar panels, you got to build bioreactors, you got to build nuclear reactors, you got to build all these different things to power your base. Or you might enter your base at one point and all the lights are off and the computer tells you that you have no power, so there's no oxygen in your base. So even though you're just swimming along, the computer tells you you got 30 seconds of oxygen, you're in your base that's 500 meters down and you're like, all right, I'm going to jump in the base and it's going to fill my oxygen tank up. You jump in your base and you realize that your bioreactor's empty. You don't
Oh
have any
god,
more oxygen in your base.
it's like running out of air inside of your own submarine. It's crazy as
You can
heck.
do that too if you let your submarine run out of power. So
And it's really cool because water worlds have always been a really hated thing. And Subnautica back in 2014 really took a risk with this. And I honestly think they really nailed the way the gameplay of water mechanics should be.
yeah, and I think it's because they didn't focus on combat. They focused on survival, and they didn't focus on a game that is meant to be on land. They focused on making a game that's just in the water. And it's about survival, yes, but it's also about exploration and discovering what's wrong with this planet and discovering how to get off of this planet. Personally, I'm not a hater of water worlds, but I also see why people don't like water worlds. And I think that all of those reasons are why Subnautica did well with the water world. They didn't focus on all this unneeded stuff. They were able to focus directly on water and survival in the water and building not a water world. They built a water game.
And I truly enjoy the effort they put into it because they made a very unique game for its time and it still holds up today. But they're not done yet. They're making Subnautica 2. And they have said it's not coming out this year, but they have shown little teasers. They did an interview with a YouTuber about 4 months ago. The link will be in the description, folks. That they answered community questions about it. It has been confirmed it's going to be on another planet, and there have been some screenshots and other details.
And from what I understand, it's going to take place after whatever happened in Subnautica Below Zero. I haven't played that one yet, so I don't know how it ends. I don't know where it'll connect. I don't know how it'll connect. I don't know how closely they'll be related. But from what I understand, it's going to be after those events. So we might see some connections. We might see, at the very least, some references to the other Subnautica games, which would be really cool, actually.
You know what I just heard, folks? Sounds like we need to cover Subnautica Below Zero in the future.
Also, Subnautica 2 is going to be multiplayer, which I think is probably the only very large drawback from Subnautica 1 and Subnautica Below Zero is I look, I need help. I need help piloting some of the ships in Subnautica, I'll be honest. And that's the only reason why I want it to be multiplayer, okay?
You suck at piloting the base ups.
I do. I do.
And I can't wait for Subnautica 2 to be coming out in 2025, hopefully. But if you folks want to see a funny moment from Dimension 119, learning the lesson of if you dive too deep, you get to face the consequences, check out this short clip.
Okay, it doesn't sound like it's a dead zone. Definitely sounds like there's some.
Maximum depth reached. Hull damage imminent.
Oh god! This is not a dead zone. This is not a dead zone. This is not a dead zone. We're screwed. I'm screwed. I am 100% and totally screwed. There is no way. I don't see any way I'm getting out of this. We just lost our freaking sea glide. We just lost the freaking... Oh, we lost the depth module we had. Oh, I should have known when I heard that roaring. I should have known to get out of here.
Well, folks, thank you very much for watching us. From us to you, thank you very much for being here. And don't forget to thank our co-host, Dimension 119, and our producer, Red Falcon, in the background, keeping us on time and putting out those videos. Thank you for watching State of Survival. Ta-ta for now.
See you in another dimension.